Hi there YouTube, it's me Gemma at Story and Song, and I'm coming to you today with a video about cookery and food writing. I want to share some of my favourite food authors and writers with you, not necessarily books that contain recipes but writing about food and about eating. So I'm going to start off with An Everlasting Meal by Tamar Adler. When I first read this book, it blew my mind. It's a series of essays on cooking, on eating, on how food fits into modern life. And there's a couple of different quotes I'd like to share with you because I think it's just a stellar book. So there are times when I can't bear to think about cooking. Food is what I love and how I communicate love and how I calm myself. But sometimes, without my knowing why, it is drained of all that. Then cooking becomes just another one of hunger's jagged edges. So I always have to take a hold of this thing and wrest it from the claws of resentment and settle it back among the things that are mine. She just writes so beautifully about, you know, something so simple as boiling vegetables. So this is from a chapter called How to Boil Water. So there is a prevailing theory that we need to know much more than we do in order to feed ourselves well. It isn't true. Most of us already have water, a pot to put it in, and a way to light a fire. This gives us boiling water in which we can do more good cooking than we know. Our culture frowns on cooking in water. A pot and water are both simple and homely. It's hard to improve on the technology of the pot or of the boil, leaving nothing for the cookware industry to sell. I just love that, and how she talks about, you know, using vegetables, using them in different ways, you know, about how she makes things stretch. And it was Tamar Adler's writing that introduced me to M.K. Fisher, who I'm going to talk about next. Now, I actually have two books here by M.K. Fisher, one which How to Cook a Wolf and one The Gastronomical Me. Now, How to Cook a Wolf is basically how to eat well when food is shortage. This is aimed toward the period during and after the war when food was scarce, when people had a limited diet, when people were dealing with making things last and making things still taste good and still being able to take pleasure in a family meal. M.K. Fisher, again, what a writer, you know. I'm just having a look tonight. She wrote this one passage on polenta that I just think is amazing. So polenta is one of those ageless culinary lords like bread. It has sprung from the hunger of mankind and without apparent effort has always carried with it a feeling of strength and dignity and well-being. It costs little to prepare if there is little to spend, or it can be extravagantly, opulently odorous with wines and such. It can be made doggedly with one ear cocked for the wolves sniffling under the door, or it can be turned out as a well-nourished gesture to other simpler days. But no matter what conceits it may be decked with, its fundamental simplicity survives, to comfort our souls as well as our bellies, the way a good solid fugue does, or a warm morning in spring. This is an excellent, excellent book. Again, like Tamar Adler's, it's a series of essays. It does contain some recipes which are, you know, quite within the reach of people being able to do, such as potage Elsie. You know, it contains really simple things, you know, a lot of vegetables, things that could be grown, quick potato soup, beef sauce for polenta, and of course the name comes from the wolf at the door, the hunger, the shortages that were going around at the time. I cannot more thoroughly recommend M.K. Fisher to anyone. And then her other book, The Gastronomical Me, sorry, wrong side. Gastronomical Me is more of a memoir. It goes along various trips that she's taken, things that she's eaten. I just love this. I love her humour, I love her sort of joie de vivre, even when in the midst of when things are really bad, you know, and there's a depression and stuff like that. She writes so beautifully and so well about, it's almost like that Proust's Madeleines, you know, when Proust waxes lyrical about Madeleines for ages. MK Fisher does that, but in a much more homely, down to earth way, and I think it's amazing. Now the next book I have was actually translated by MK Fisher, but was written by Jean-Anselme Brillat-Savarin, and is called The Physiology of Taste. Now this is scientific, it's philosophic, it's memoir, it's everything. It's one of the best books about why what we eat affects us and why we have such strong connections to food. So he says, he who eats a peach, for instance, is first of all agreeably struck by the perfume of which it exhales. He puts a piece of it into his mouth and enjoys a sensation of tart freshness, which invites him to continue, but it is not until the instant of swallowing, when the mouthful passes under his nasal channel, that the full aroma is revealed to him, and this completes the sensation which a peach can cause. Finally, it is not until it has been swallowed that the man, considering what he has just experienced, will say to himself, now there is something really delicious. I picked up this book first of all and was slightly put off by how sort of philosophical it was. I am not, much of a one for philosophy, but for some reason when you mix food into the philosophy, I didn't mind at all. And again, this was translated by MK Fisher, which is how I came across it. Now the next one is a bit of a sentimental one for me. That is this biography of Julia Child called Appetite for Life. And the reason this one has such sentimental value to me is that in 2009 I went to visit two very good friends of mine, and we went to see Julia and Julia in the cinema. We were in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I had never heard of Julia Child. Julia Child isn't someone we really talk about in the UK a lot. We tend to talk about Delia Smith more than we would talk about Julia Child. But I loved the movie, and it really inspired me to learn more about her, to learn more about her life. This is an excellent biography, by the way. It's by Noel Riley Fitch, and it covers all the periods of her life, really well. I just love the details about the relationship with her husband. They just seem totally in love, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book. But it also made me pick up, the classic French cooking. Julia Child, Louise Berthold and Simone Beck mastering the art of French cooking. Great for basics. There is an Italian equivalent, which is the Silver Spoon, which I also have on my shelves back there. But this really gives such a great grounding in the basics of cooking. It's tomato sauces, a brown sauce, if you want to make an omelette, enrichments for white sauces. I think what I notice a lot in people cooking now, and when I talk to people about cooking, sauces is something that they really struggle with and tend a lot to come out of jars and packets. Pick up something like the art of French cooking, look at the sauces, it's so easy. It's like lasagna white sauce is the hill that I will die on. Like, unless you have literally no time in the world, you can make that white sauce to go in your lasagna. You can do it. And once you've done it that first time and felt that satisfaction, there's nothing else like it. I adore this book, I adore Julia Child, and I love feeding people, which I think all of these books have a similar theme, the joy of feeding people and sharing the sort of bounty of your larder. Last of all, I have Bread is Gold, and this was put together by Massimo Bottura. Also includes chefs like Ferran Adria, Mario Batali, and it has some really simple recipes in it that you can do if you're a sort of, I wouldn't say a beginner cook would pick this up. I would say if you're at a sort of, you're not a professional chef, but you're a pretty good home chef, you can manage banana bread with berry maple ice cream, or let's say the chicken croquette that dreams about becoming a cream. You can manage all of these things. I've had a look through the recipes. There's nothing that has an insane amount of processes, which I really like. Again, this comes from the Fiden imprint. If you can't tell, I love the Fiden imprint of cookbooks. But this one is much more made to be used rather than looked at or admired, like say the El Bulli cookbook or Favakin or Osteria Francescana. You know, those books are meant to be looked at, they're meant to be an artifact of that restaurant, of that food, of that time, but they're not meant to be cooked from. Bread is Gold is meant to be cooked from. Can I also make the recommendation that if you have not watched Chef's Table on Netflix, that you definitely watch it. I think it's amazing. I love chefs like, you know, like Magnus Nielsen that's on there, and there's another one who's on here as well. Alex Atala. Alex Atala's episodes set in South America is amazing. Amazing. The cinematography is gorgeous, the music is perfect. It will make you hungry, it will make you want to eat, it will make you want to eat good things. So I recommend Chef's Table as well, on top of these books that I've just talked about. But if I had to start with anyone, I would say start with M.K. Fisher's How to Cook a Wolf, or Tamar Adler's An Everlasting Meal. And once you're sucked in, then look at all the other different books that I've talked about there. Anyway, YouTube, that's enough about food for one afternoon. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye bye.